Welcome back to the Takeover. On today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 reasons why traditional distributors suck at e-commerce. I know the title is pretty harsh, but I wanted to really get to the point, and I'm not going to hold back any punches today because we're going to be talking about some real life examples that I've seen out there. And, we understand the importance today of innovating our traditional distribution channels and creating that online branch experience for our customers. And a lot of distributors have had a lot of pain as they go about doing that. And we're going to talk today about what some of those pain points are, why they are so disruptive in terms of us trying to build this online channel. And I'm not going to leave you hanging, so we're not just going to have you all doom and gloom today. But we are gonna talk about the reasons why we suck, and then we're going to talk about some reasons or some ways that we can improve. So I'm going to give you sort of the antithesis of the areas in which we struggle, and I'm going to compare that with the right way of doing things. So hang on to your seat. This is going to be a fast one. I'm going to communicate a lot of information here in a short amount of time, hopefully. So I'm just going to jump right in. So the number one area that I see us struggling with is really this idea of not building for the customer. So, you'll hear a lot of talk about Amazon, and Amazon is it is what it is. It's a killer online behemoth that does billions of dollars, and they've moved into the B2B market, and there's, I think, something like $6 to $7 billion projected in 2019 for them. So I might have to go back and check my records on that. But it's ridiculous, right? Amazon is quickly becoming a B2B powerhouse. And we look back at the history of that, and we wonder, how did Amazon get to where they're at? And of course, if you go and you dig, you'll find that it wasn't necessarily built on a lot of clever advertising, although you see that more and more today. It wasn't built on PPC ads in the beginning. It certainly wasn't, although they dominate it today. But it was built on this concept that Jeff Bezos had, that he was very passionate about. It was really a core value of his, and that was that he was going to build everything. The entire Amazon experience was going to be built around the customer. And so he understands his customers really well, and he's built in systems over time into the platform so that he's able to extract customer feedback and figure out where those areas that they can improve, and then systematically just tackling those areas and getting better and better over the years. And that's really where we are today. And that's why the system, and that's why the platform and the experience is second to none. So we can really learn a lot from that. And I think the biggest takeaway is, not to try to make you feel like you have to be an Amazon or even try to create yourself like a little miniature Amazon. But I think the takeaway is that we need to build for the customer. We need to consider who our customers are, and what their pain points are, and how to help solve them for them. So how to make their life easier. If it's sourcing products, if it's figuring out what equipment they need, if it is developing a faster way of getting quotes, if it's developing a faster way of checking out, purchasing the products, delivering the products, the fulfillment side of things, all of these things in one way or another can actually be solved with better technology and better systems today. And I think where we struggle is really at the beginning. I mean, the bedrock of any e-commerce channel is the customer. And so we need to understand what that looks like. And so we're gonna talk about the right ways of doing it. But first, I want to pinpoint specifically some of the issues that we see, and some of the mistakes that I've seen distributors make over the years. I think the number one mistake by far is not understanding, the type of customer that they're working with and who they're trying to attract. So a lot of times, especially with a traditional distributor, you're actually going after customers that you don't really want. or that you can't service. You're going after customers that you really can't make happy. So for example, the number one example that I can think of is going after a B2C type customer with your website, knowing that you really are a specialist when it comes to serving the B2B type of customer. So you're great at providing extremely good customer service. You do on-site visits very well. You show up with the customer's order the same day they order it in your truck, because they're down the road, but they needed it, yesterday, and you just provide that service that, not even Amazon can really provide that kind of that hand holding, and you're great at that. And then so when it comes time for you to build an e-commerce channel, you go out and you build your website, and you go out and you look at what other companies are doing. And, you look at even the websites that you frequent, as a consumer. And so you take some of those consumer type features and you start building your website around the consumer. Or, you're assuming that you're building it for the buyer, but what you're doing is you're taking all these consumer concepts and you're applying them to your B2B website. And lo and behold, you have horrible adoption rates by your customers because the platform that you've created for, the worker, or you've created for the small business that orders onesie twosies, kind of orders. They're really small and they're crumbs. And so what happens inevitably is you get a few crumbs and you don't get the big accounts that you were hoping for. And the folks, you get a lead and you get somebody who actually buys something off the website. And then your sales team, who they're traditional sales folks, they go after that buyer. But that buyer is not, they're not the kind of quality lead that your sales team needs to be chasing. And so they waste a lot of time. So at the end of the day, you've wasted a tremendous amount of resources, both in building the technology, implementing the site, the design, the development, and then you've wasted a lot of time on the sales side as well, chasing after leads that are just not the right fit for your business. So it's a real common error. I think even if we do think about who it is that you're trying to pinpoint, one of the things that we struggle with is even if you understand that you are going after, you say, okay, I know that I'm going after a B2C buyer, Matt. I know that, so we have these accounts. We feel like we've maxed out that area of our market, but I also want to go get all these little crumbs. So, and it just sounds so simple. Just put up a website and we'll just collect all of those little orders that we're not getting now, and everything will be great, right? It's not that easy. It's not that easy because those customers are looking for something a little bit different in terms of the experience. And so, when they check out and you have to pay a premium for shipping, or the pricing, maybe before they even check out, they realize the pricing isn't quite what they were expecting, so they go price shop you, and it's hard to get those orders. That's not a business that most traditional B2B distributors need to necessarily go after. So building for your customer is number one. So that's definitely one of the areas I see us struggling with the most, is we don't really understand who our customers are, and even if we do, we're building our website for somebody else. All right, so number two on the list of reasons why traditional distributors suck at e-commerce is just a lack of resources. So, in other words, we're dipping the toe. We're dipping the toe in the water. We're not jumping in 100%. We're not fully committing to it in terms of the resources that we're putting into the investment, both on the software side as well as the personnel side. So we're not putting the right people in place to help us run the platform, and we're also not spending what we should on the technology. Now, this is a big issue because with e-commerce, you get what you pay for. And unfortunately, I think the thing that I've talked about a lot in the past is that what we have here is we have a lot of distributors who want this Amazon type experience, but they have a MySpace budget. They basically need it free. If it's free, it's for me, but that's not a good model. That's not certainly not how you're going to get a great return on your investment. So some of the things that I've seen we've messed up with is we go out there, we buy or not even buy, but we get like a free open source software, like a free Magento site, or one of the we get the entry version of Shopify or something like that, and so are we starting off with very little in terms of capabilities. So our platform doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles to it, can't really do most of the major B2B functions that we need. And so we're kind of already behind the eight ball. On top of that, I see a lot of part-time presidents and CEOs and owners of businesses trying to run the channel themselves. And I think that's also a big mistake. When it comes to building a team and creating you really have to think about the e-commerce channel as its own branch. It really is like opening up a new location. And I'm certain that you, as the owner, you wouldn't expect that you're going to run all of your branches. So if you're at a point now where as a distributor, you've got multiple branches, you're not going to hop in the car, at lunchtime and go spend half the day at your second branch. It's not feasible. Well, you already are wearing multiple hats. You're already trying to do a lot of different things every day. You're doing business development. You're handling customer service issues. You're trying to, help your staff. You're dealing with the endless questions that come up every single day. You're dealing with vendors. You just don't have time to add a website management role on top of that very busy ownership role. So that to me is by and far and away the single biggest issue I see with small independent distributors who, let's just say they're under 10 staff. So they have their salespeople, they're slammed. They have a couple inside people that maybe are helping them run the business, and then they're out doing a bunch of different things as well. And unfortunately, instead of saying, okay, we're going to invest, a person, we're going to invest a body to help manage the e-commerce channel, instead they try to use whatever resources they have currently. So it also doesn't work very well. So the one issue that I see is presidents or owners trying to run the e-commerce channel themselves. But another issue is, handing it off to somebody who already has a full-time job. I feel like that can even be more disruptive because, now you're asking that person to split their energy and split their attention. And, where you may be able to get by for a while doing that because you're passionate about it, I can tell you that you can burn out a really good employee very quickly by dividing their attention, dividing their responsibilities in such a dramatic way. So, when it comes to budget, I can just tell you, a lot of distributors are thinking that a website's going to cost them, $5,000 to $10,000 a year, and you're going to be able to grow and be successful with that model. But it's going to be more than that. I mean, when you factor in the time it takes personnel-wise, your design, your development, your product content, managing the day-to-day operations of the website, making updates to it, marketing the website. Okay, we can't expect that the website's going to produce sales all by itself without doing some sort of marketing, some sort of communication, email marketing, advertising of some sort. It's just not going to work without that. And, I think at the end of the day, you need to think about a website, a true website, regardless if you're a small distributor or not. You're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $100,000 a year to do it the right way. If you want it to grow, I mean, if you're just content with having something up there that is maybe a sales tool that, customers can look through, sort of like an online, like an e-catalog, well, then you can dial back your expectations a little bit. But if you want it to actually generate, revenue for your business, and if it is a significant part of your plan to grow your overall company, then you need to think about investing in it accordingly. All right, so the third big boo-boo that we make when it comes to running an e-commerce channel, if you're a traditional distributor, is a lack of systems. So a lot of disorganization. So, disorganization in distributors, I don't know why this is the way it is. They just go together. It's been a rare case going and visiting and being a part of a distribution company that was really, really well organized. When you do find that place where everybody knows what's expected of them, when everybody understands how the business is run, and everybody understands their role in relation to that bigger picture or those goals and objectives, that is a very special business. And I got to say, if you have something like that, pat yourself on the back. Congratulations. You are like in the 1 or 2% of all distributors in the country. My experience, most distributors are horrible at documenting processes or creating processes, documenting processes, and then rolling out, communicating those to the team. So whether you're a 2 or 3 person operation, I've seen 2 or 3 person operations. So you would think, how could there be any miscommunication? I mean, they're sitting right next to each other. But I've seen it to a point where the owner of the company, it can't get anything done, can't write emails, can't do proposals or quotes, can't do anything because every 5 seconds somebody is coming into their doorway and asking them questions. So that's a really big issue. And, it's because for whatever reason, and I think I know what the reason is, and I understand because I am a business owner, I'm a CEO, and I think a lot of times we're really great at relationships, we're great at, creativity, and we're great at, at being the leader or being out in front, but we're not good about turning back around to our team and communicating what's expected and communicating how it is that we do the things that we're going to do to achieve our goals. And so a lot of times when I talk to distributors, is there a goal for growth? Is there a revenue goal? A lot of times there's not even a revenue goal. How are we going to get that revenue? What percentage is going to be coming from existing business? What percentage is going to be coming from new business? And what's our plan to go get that new revenue that we're going to need to offset the attrition that we're going to see and to hit those goals for growth? I think we do the basics, we do the basic blocking and tackling of business, but I think what we can do a lot better job of is being creative visionaries and communicating the strategy of how we're going to get there to the team and really inspiring our team and empowering them to go out and hit those goals. So these are some of the areas where we're struggling, guys. I mean, we got to really take a long look in the mirror and ask ourselves, how do we expect to grow? If growth is our plan, what is the plan for us to get there? It's growing is just too vague. We have to have some organization. We have to have details around how we're going to grow, documented goals, documented processes. We need to continue to invest in the e-commerce channel, and we need to build all of that for the customer. Okay, so I just gave you a ton of bad news. Like, this is all the stuff that we struggle with, and it's hard to look at that sometimes. It's hard to sometimes look in the mirror and say, I need to lose a few pounds, or it's hard to look in the mirror and say, I need to fix this relationship with my spouse. And in the same way, we need to look in the mirror of our business, and we need to say, why is it that we're not successful with e-commerce? Why aren't we getting the sales that we want out of our websites? And a lot of times it comes down to these 3 things. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break. And when I come back, we're going to talk about the good news. We're going to talk about how you can start to turn things around and some of the actionable steps to get there.
We live in a time of continual disruption to the industrial supply chain, from tariffs and trade wars to the Amazon effect on buying behavior. not to mention the internal challenges you face trying to navigate new technology, recruiting, educating, and empowering your team. These are real concerns for small to medium-sized industrial suppliers. They keep you up at night, and they threaten your mission to provide for your family, your employees, and ultimately to build a legacy that stands the test of time. I've been there. My family's business has worked with independent distributors for over 40 years. Spinstack was founded as an answer to the challenges our peers and partners faced with big box competition, changing technology, and rapid consolidation. Today, we offer 3 simple but powerful services that help industry Davids defeat Goliath. They are e-commerce, printed catalogs, and inbound marketing. Our e-commerce solution for distributors has been developed by over 15 years of hands-on experience, listening and adapting to the changing needs of our clients. We offer personalized B2B and B2C website design, development, hosting, and maintenance. We also believe in the power of beautiful print. Spinstack started by curating product content from the industry's top suppliers. We combine that product database with an airtight production process that makes printed catalogs of every shape and size available and affordable to the masses. Finally, we kept our finger on the pulse of digital marketing best practices by teaming up with HubSpot to provide marketing automation, lead generation, and nurturing strategies. Regardless of where you're at in your industrial supply journey, our energetic team has the experience and know-how to guide you to a bright future filled with opportunities to grow. Put your fears to rest and conquer the moment today by scheduling a consultation with the industry's most recognized agency. If you're ready to grow, let's go.
All right, welcome back. So before the break, we talked about the 3 reasons why traditional distributors suck at e-commerce. Number 1 was a failure to build for the customer. So not building everything that we do around our customer, not really even understanding our customer very well. We talked about the lack of resources, the lack of team, personnel needed to run the website and to market it and to grow it. And we talked about the disorganization that is rampant in a lot of distributor companies. So I want to give you some encouragement now. I'm going to tell you how to do maybe things the right way so that we can start turning the ship around and making some improvements that we can really start to see the return on our investment, if we've already made that investment, and if not, how to go and grow the business using e-commerce marketing. So number 1 is, we talked about failure to build for the customer. And so I think I think it's a lack of personas. I don't think that we have documented who it is who is our customer and knowing them very well. I think a lot of that is assumed, and it's a big mistake because I'll tell you why. Now, as the owner or the person who's running the business, you are really intimately familiar with your customers. I mean, you're on the front lines. A lot of times you're doing the business development, you're working on those relationships, or you've just grown up around it. Maybe you're the 2nd or 3rd generation of a company and you've worked around this industry your entire life. You know who these customers are. That's great, but like I said before, you can't do everything yourself. So when it comes time to hire a marketing company or a developer to help build your website, you really need them to understand who your customer is and to build the site around your customer. If you just go to any agency down the road, or any developer, or maybe your nephew's developer, or somebody that if one of your friends recommends somebody, and there's a general web developer or a marketing company. The problem with that is they're going to need to know your customer in order to build something that is going to be effective. And so a lot of times, your explanation of who your customer is really not going to cut it for them to do their job better. So if you are, in most cases, if you're a small distributor, you're not going to go out and hire a $100,000 a year salary developer and designer. You're not going to go hire a bunch of people to do website development. You're going to go and you're going to hire a company that's going to do it for you. So in that case, you really need to understand who your customers are. It would be best if you had it documented. And that's what persona development is. So what I recommend is sitting down and thinking about who your primary customers are and categorizing them. And so what I like to do is I like to create 4 personas. I think every distribution company needs 4 persona documents. So these are actual living documents. They could be Google Docs or Word documents or whatever. You can design a fancy PDF with images and everything. But basically, you need these 4 personas to be communicated and documented. Number 1 is your primary persona. This is I want you to close your eyes and imagine your very best customer. Okay, think about that best customer. That's the customer who buys from you regularly. They buy a lot. Their average order value is huge. They are great. They don't complain. They love you guys. They love your value prop. They understand the value that you bring. It's going to be very difficult for them to walk away from you and go to another supplier. Okay, think about who that customer is, and then start to build out your persona. Describe to me who they are. How old are they? I'm talking about your primary point of contact, the person that is the decision maker. Are they, what's their role? Are they a safety engineer? Are they are they the head of a contracting company? Are they, are they operations manager? Describe their role, describe their responsibilities, describe their story. What do they want? What really makes them tick, and what is going to make their life easier? These are the things that you need to understand in order to provide a great customer experience. And this first step is just documenting it. So that's the first one. The second one is going to be the customer that is a typical customer, right? So may not be your best customer, but this is somebody who is always there, always is in the picture. A lot of times this is like a purchasing manager, or this is somebody who is working, alongside of that number 1 persona. So you basically have a secondary persona, and these people are going to be using your website. These people are going to be shopping your website, placing orders, and it's great to be able to understand their job and their role as well. Now, a third persona is somebody who sort of is how can you say this? They're not exactly the best customer, but you're not going to turn them away either. Okay, so this is every company has this, right? You have 20% of your customer base account for 80% of the revenue, but then you have this 80% that order a small amount. Like they're not consistent with their orders. They're sometimes they're not loyal. I think a lot of times it's becoming more and more the issue. But this is your third or tertiary persona. This is somebody who you're happy to do business with, but they're not going to be your primary focus. In other words, you're not going to build your site around this person. Okay, because honestly, if these people left and you got more of your primary personas, you'd be happy with that. Okay, so those are the 3 primary personas. And then what I want you to do is create an anti-persona. So the 4th persona is actually somebody who you're saying, we do not want this customer at all, ever, because they cause us headaches. We're not equipped to handle them. We've never made this customer happy. This customer is, this is a person who's all about price, and we're not about price. We're about value. So this is the kind of person that you're trying to avoid, and that's important for your marketing team, for your sales team as well, so that they know who not to go waste their time on. So they're definitely not going to build a site around this person. In fact, they might just design the site, and they might just design the marketing material so it's clear to this persona that we're not the right fit. All right, so that's persona development. I think that's extremely important. And this is how you can start building around the customer. So if one of our failures is a failure to build for the customer, creating persona documents and creating, a a portfolio that we can hand to our sales team, that we can hand to a marketing company, that we can hand to a web developer, and explain to them, here is who we live to serve. That can go a long way towards creating a fantastic customer experience on your website. All right, number 2 is building your team and your tech stack. So if I said, one of the issues I said in the beginning of the episode, I said it's a failure to provide the right resources, or the issue is that we're dipping our toe. We're not really going all in. So going all in doesn't necessarily mean expensive. I just want to communicate that out the gate. It doesn't mean that you have to have the most expensive website. Some of our customers, so we, this certainly isn't a sales pitch, but one of our, value propositions, we're one of the most affordable B2B e-commerce solutions for distributors. And the reason why that is because we're using a membership model for all of our product data. So all of the product data, and that's the most expensive part of building a distributor e-commerce website. And all of that is included in our pricing structure. So you have to really think about value when it comes to building the tech stack. So selecting an e-commerce platform, and thinking about all of the tools that you're gonna build around that. Think about value, not about price, and think about how a site is going to provide, additional bottom line value, not just the overall top line. A lot of people think, when I go out there and I think about a website, it's all about what is it going to produce in revenue. And I would say in addition to that, think about what is it going to save you in terms of operations, and about streamlining processes, and about saving time for your employees, so they can go out and do more of the stuff that you need to go build new business. Okay, so thinking about your tech stack, and then thinking about your team. Okay, if you have nobody else, and you've absolutely nobody that's able to handle working and managing the site, you need to think about giving this to one person, having them be your e-commerce champion. And a lot of times that could be somebody that you hire from the outside, but most often it's somebody who understands the business. And maybe it's somebody who has a little bit of marketing background as well. So this could be a salesperson. But what I would say is you have to pull them out of their role and give them this project 100% full time. It's worth that. It's worth giving it one person a full-time position if you're serious at all about growing your e-commerce channel. And so what this person can do is a lot of different things. If you're just starting out, they can be a project manager. They can manage your outside resources, your marketing companies, your developers, your designers, writers. They can manage all of that for you. You don't need to be on that level of detail with them. Give them a very clear budget, give them expectations. And here's my biggest tip, and that is to incentivize them, have a big portion of their salary or a big bonus program all around hitting their goals. So if you can get them to hit their sales goals for their channel, then they'll get rewarded, because that's helping you grow the business and helping you grow the bottom line. All right, so the third one here is process and system development. So I've kind of gone step by, I've organized this in the way that I would do it if I were starting off from the beginning. So in other words, I wouldn't create processes and systems without having a team and a tech stack developed. And I wouldn't develop my team and my tech stack without first understanding who my customer was. So there's a logical progression of this, and don't miss that, because that's really important. You want to make sure that you build processes and systems around your team, around your technology. Okay. What you cannot do is you cannot take this new technology and this new digital channel and cram it into the way that you traditionally do business. They have to be connected. It has to be holistic. So it has to be integrated, right? It has to, your traditional channel has to understand what's going on with the e-commerce channel, and the e-commerce channel has to understand what's going on with the traditional channel. and we have to work together. And that's why you have to create new processes and new systems so that these two worlds can live together, so that there's not a disconnect between these two channels, because your customers are going to cross over a lot, especially in the beginning. So, developing processes and systems and doing it in a way that's manageable. So you can't go and say, I can't even start my website. I can't publish my website. I can't market it until I've got every situation covered. Like, that's just never going to happen. So you have to start simply by understanding what happens to an order when it comes in, what happens when a customer needs support, how do we update the website, how do we market the website, how do we run in cycles where we're analyzing data and making improvements. All of these things need to be considered, but I would just start one at a time, and you're going to chip away at this over time, and you're going to develop a really nice set of documents that will help your team grow and manage this channel so that it's successful, not just today, but for the long term. All right, so I told you, I kind of warned you ahead of time. There's a lot to cover here. It's kind of a little bit like drinking from a fire hydrant, but I hope that you can start to see that that you've probably skipped over some of these things, and a lot of times it's we're just doing our best. And we're trying to get something out there, and everybody else says we need it, so we get it as quickly as we can out. But really, we stop and we think, well, we really should have started with this. And I hope that what this episode might do is it encourage you that it's never too late to start over. It's never too late to hit the restart button and build something from the ground up the right way. So, if this is like an episode of Hoarders, and you have a really jacked up, messy house, and it's intimidating and it's scary, and, you don't even know where to begin because it's overwhelming, let us know, because we can help you walk through this. One of the things that, I would just start with is that persona development. And, not doing anything else. Don't look at software. Don't think about, your team yet. Don't think about the technology that you're going to need and all the functions and features. I think that's where we get overwhelmed. And I would just ask you to start with your customer. Think about who your customer is. Think about what they need. Go out and talk to them. Maybe do some surveys, some email marketing surveys, asking them good questions about what they expect, how often would they use the website, who would use it, do they want it, what do they want it for, what kind of information do they want on the website, and really start to gather this data that we can use to help us build something really great. If you need help with that, I'm always here. You can hit me up in my email inbox. I'll be happy to return any questions that you might have. And if you're listening, you made it all the way through this episode, I would encourage you guys to reach out to me on the website and post any questions that you have for future episodes, because I'm always looking for what it is that's the hot topic. So that's what we're hoping to address on the show. So until next time, guys, thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next episode of The Takeover.